Okay, so this is the modeling scene for the biosphere, the biosphere. So I've opened up the Blender scene and I've prepared some things earlier. I've got planes with the texture on, a reference photo, and I've got some lights. Also around the computer I've got some sketches and photographs, gives me further reference. It's not always ideal to use references from just using the computer. It's quite tight and restrictive, so I find I put some sketches, some strategy sketches of how to approach the model. And I've got basically a camera and some lights here to light up the plane. And one thing with the camera, I've basically done locked camera to view. So when we go to the cameras, active camera, it's locked. If this is not locked, it's going to go off the camera. And the reason for this is that when we go to the active camera, what we see is what we render. Yeah? So again, going back there, active camera. So now it's locked that to the view, which is great. Okay, and then I'm going to go to toggle chord view. And I've got a kind of background image with some of the scenes here, but it's not necessarily because we've got the plane and we've got some reference images as well. And in this tutorial, I don't have my number pad, a keyboard with a number pad here, so I'm just going to use this for now, this thing here. I can change the shortcuts, but this time I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to take the camera off a bit for now, take it to a take the toggle view off, and here's the scene so far. I'm going to add a plane, scale it. Planes are good because you can refer to the grounds. Yeah. So it gives you a reference for the grounds. Take that down a bit. Okay. And what I'm going to do here is model the this internal tower, and some of the elements around it. And this is going to be like a Lego, kind of a Lego blocking out scene. If you buy the extras with this course, or this lessons, you will get a time-lapse video with me modeling further in Blender. But that's an optional extra because you're perfectly okay to do these free lessons and learn from that. But the extras will help you get that added dimension to model. So then again, I'm going to add a cube. And this cube is going to be the gantry. You can either model a gantry with separate objects, but I'm going to poly model. So I'm going to make most of this gantry from one object, and that's good for optimization for things like games and rendering. So go into edit mode. Actually, I don't have to do that to start with. I'm going to scale, and scale on the Z. Oh, a bit of an issue there with the old display. So S, Z to lock the scale, and I'm going to start by this gantry bit here, what I call a gantry, the bit coming out. So scale and Y. And there are kind of 1, 2, 3 towers here. This could be separate. It doesn't matter because it's not an accurate visualization model. This is an expressive art piece. So unless you're doing visualization, don't worry too much about the accuracy. Dimensions help though, but accuracy, don't worry too much, as I said. So I'm going to have to divide this block in places so I can get the extrusions. It's best to show you. So I'm going to go into edit mode now and use loop, cut and slide. I'm going to slide it there. So this gives the cross section here. Loop, cut and slide. First back tower, loop, cut and slide. The space, loop, cut and slide again. There. Okay, I'm not really using keyboard shortcuts in this tutorial, or I'd advise it, but I'm kind of left-handed, so it's quite difficult if you're left-handed, so I would have to customize the keyboard and use my own keys, which would further confuse you, so that's why I'm not really using keyboard shortcuts. But extrude is okay, so what I just did, so I select the face I want to extrude, and E, like that. And then, so that's this tower, the back one there. Extrude, and have that a bit lower. Okay, and the tower comes out, I think it's about just behind that tower, but for no, let's say it's the same level as this. So extrude it a bit there, and extrude it way out. It's quite far out like that, a sort of big L shape. And then, whoops, did do it. And then we're going to have this extrusion coming out there. So I'm going to loop, cut, and slide this again. Get the back. Loop, cut, and slide to front. And loop, cut, and slide about here, because it goes in quite a lot there. And again, the face, select face. Select all these faces, extrude. So it comes up to about here. You want the roof coming up there, so you want a bit of another extrusion. Extrude out the side. And I think the front comes out a bit as well. So extrude out the front. Great. It's starting to take shape. Take it out of object mode, select, move it this way a bit. And now we're going to have a look at the bottom. So the gantry, the flat plane thing comes down a bit. Yeah. Let's check. Yeah, it goes down. So extrude all that down a bit, not too much. And then we've got the main elements here going right through the object. So this one, so it's going down here. I think that could be a lift. And then this one, like so. Okay, I didn't extrude the back properly, but it's okay. So the back is stepped now, but that can be edited later on. The whole point of this lesson is just to show you how to quickly model it up. Any little things like that can always be corrected. And then take the dimensions down there, try and push the dimensions around, try and get it right. As I said, it doesn't have to be entirely accurate, but you know, architectural dimensions are architectural dimensions, and they are important because it's like an aesthetic piece of work. Move this down. So we've blocked out that. It's time to look at the roof, this tower thing. So I'm going to go to select, to edit mode again, and extrude this a bit to give it a bit of height. Scale it, make it come out at the bottom, extrude, extrude, E-extrude, S scale. Right. There's a gantry coming down there. These are stairs. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I think there's 4. No. there are only 3 pillars here. 1, 2, 3. 3 front pillars, and the first one starts just outside the front of that. So I'm going to go to top view. Take it off perspective to go to ortho. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I'm going to take it out of object modes and cylinder. F6, increase the vertices somewhat to about 90, so it's a bit more smoother. Let's take it up to 100. Okay. Get to wireframe so I can view where the pillars are. Scale the pillars because it's going to be a bit thinner. So that's 1. Take it to 3D view. And we can take it to texture. Take it to texture. So we've got a nice pillar. Edit mode. Select the top cap. Bring it up into the top structure there, so it's inside it, or just about inside it. Yeah? So it's actually supporting it. Yeah. Make sure that's touching the bottom as well. Okay, good. And then go to top view. Still in perspective, to take off the perspective. Go to wireframe. And duplicate object. So duplicate it here. So that's 1. Duplicate 2. Duplicate 3. About there. We can align these better later on. So duplicate again. And duplicate again. Take the view back to perspective. And texture. Nice. So now we've got these nice columns here. So they're starting to look okay. And then on this side, there's 1, 2, 3. I think there's only 3 here. There's nothing there. So I'm going to quickly do that on that side. So there's 1. So it's going to be 1, 2, and kind of there. So go to view, top view. Take off perspective. Go to wire. So we can see through it. Select one of these, duplicate, and place them roughly where you think they go. So it's there. There. And there. Go back to perspective, or camera even. Texture. So we've got the basic, what I call the gantry. Yeah. So weave it out there, and it's not high enough. Oh yeah, because this is higher, so we need to adjust that in the speeded up time lapse. So that's your main gantry. Just add a quick cylinder for the top bit. Scale it. Scale it. Scale it down. Grab, move. Move it up a bit. Edit. Scale. And that's this cylindrical thing there. So it's kind of doesn't look amazing at the moment, but as you can see, things are starting to happen with the way it looks. There's a few things coming out here, so what I usually start to do is to add just cubes. So you've got some signs. I'm going to do this very quickly, and then in the time lapse, you can see it all getting proportioned and the details put in. Control and D to duplicate. Whoops. Sorry. Duplicates. Okay, and I can add more as they go out. There's this gantry I'll quickly edit in here. One, two, three, four. So it's got 4 pillars, and then it's got a top. So very quickly I'll duplicate this box, so I don't have to keep making a new box. And that's around about here. Scale it. Scale and blend is very tricky. I sometimes, I realize why 3D Studio Max costs so much. A lot of it's to do with the, the interface and the usability of the interface. But as I say, this blend is free, and that's great, isn't it? The origin here is, let's take that to the origin. That here, and in this case I think this is a bit closer. Okay, go to top view, wire, and duplicate these columns into here. And I think they're a bit under it. A bit, not right at the edge from the photo. So duplicate. Duplicate. And duplicate. Go to perspective. Very tall columns. So take them down. Like so. Let's do it very quickly again. And just to talk about why I feel it's good to block things out. Because when you're blocking things out, it's very low polygon, and you can get the feel of the scene immediately. If you just start on a very concentrated model, detailing in on, for example, I don't know, this fan thing at the top, you will lose the overall impression or idea of the scene as a complete piece of work. It's like drawing. People that draw very detailed, they'll often concentrate in one area, and sometimes the actual whole piece doesn't turn out that well because they're not thinking of the composition. So in this case, it's like a sculpture or a drawing. And if you block out everything, you know, as you go, then you get the overall feel of the scene. Okay. So as you can see, here's the basic layout of the METAC or the METAC internal architectural structure. And the next screencast, as I say, is going to be the time lapse, and I'll add more detail. I'll use other tools in Blender other than just what we've been using here, which is the loop, cut and slide, and the extrude. I'll be using perhaps a modifier and some inset tools, etc., etc. But as you can see, just by using the extrude and the loop, cut and slide, it gives so many possibilities alone to make the model just with these two tools. And one tip is that as you don't need to know everything in 3D programs. You just learn a few modifiers and you'll expand. You'll get the thirst to expand your knowledge, to learn, you know, more and more modifiers and things like that. At first might even seem boring, you know, it's and annoying. But as you go along, you'll get used to it. I mean, I found Blender quite boring when I started because I've been using 3D Studio Max for 11 years and I've only just really got into Blender because I can teach it. You know, I can teach it in real-life workshops without worrying about license issues. And the controls are quite eccentric, but stick with it. And as I say, it's amazing because it's free. Okay, so the next lesson, if you're paying, if you've got the paid option, you'll see a time lapse. If not, you'll see a more. If not, go to the next video, and we're going to talk about modeling the Habitat 67 model. Okay, thanks for listening, and speak to you soon. Bye.